So Farius, welcome.
How are you?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, not bad.
Good.
Not bad.
Yeah, just wanted to get a little bit more personal with you, really, and kind of share with the fans and people out there who are loving your music a little bit about your life and what you're doing.
Yeah.
If that's cool.
Yeah.
So, before you started music, like it's obviously a fairly relative thing. Like, where was life before music came in, especially kind of progressive and trancey stuff, and like where did it all start?
I actually, you know what? I actually can't remember life before music. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It sounds like a bit of a cliche thing, but I actually can't. I was literally from the age of like nothing, like listening to CDs on my parents' like old school like hi-fi, stacks things. And I actually I'll hold my hands up. I was never a vinyl kid, so I was never like dropping needles. So it was always straight into CDs. But that was from a very young age, and then like I think at around 10, 11, I started sort of getting into singing. I was a singer.
Right. Well, what kind of singing was that?
Like in like church choir.
Okay, nice.
Which is weird because I think I can like in the stuff I do now, like there's still kind of like a classical. It's melodic, and classical music is obviously very melodic.
100%, yeah.
So
there's no dodgy videos anywhere that we can...
Probably, but they won't ever surface. They're under lock and key. So that was like 10, 11, 13, I started studying music at school, did like my GCSE, which is like the qualifications we do here at like 16, and then went through to like A-level, my finals in music, and then went to music college, studied classical music again, and actually, so what's weird is that like a lot of my mates who are into like progressive and dance music, like now, they kind of say to me, oh, you don't remember like Tiesto when he was playing like trance back in the day, or you don't remember like when blah blah was playing that. And actually it's kind of true, because I kind of got into dance music when I was a little younger, but then I had a break and got into classical, and then got into dance music when I was sort of like 19, 20. Yeah, I was like a late bloomer in terms of dance music.
Because classical's not your obvious thing from a lot of young people, really.
No. It was more that I was just kind of in that world and just studying, like academically studying music. Obviously, like classical is kind of what a lot of people
focus
do.
on.
Yeah, and I still love it. I enjoy it, and I take a lot of inspiration from it. And I think there's just always been a recurrent theme in like music in my life that has been melodic, and like classical music is melodic 9 times out of 10.
No, you're right. They definitely can relate to each other for sure.
100%, yeah.
Especially on the more trancey side of things as well. It kind of has.
And that's the thing. I spent years like early, like 18, 19, 20, like enjoying music, like enjoying dance music, but not really like honing in the sound that I was into, and I never really knew what like progressive was, or I knew what like trance was, because that's really obvious, like the old school trance was, but like, and it took me a while to sort of hone in my sound, but like the melody's always been a feature of, if I listen to tracks I was listening to when I was 18, you can still hear they're all melodic. You know?
Amazing.
Yeah.
So do you think the courses and all the education has helped to get where you are? Like, because obviously I get messages all the time asking if they should go and do courses or blah blah blah.
Yeah, no, I get the same thing. I think it's definitely, as I always say, it's like the foundation of what I do. It's like the foundation of like the basis of everything I start with. And actually sometimes like I was chatting to another Zerothree, I think it was Kappa, when I was interviewing him for REALPROG Radio. He was saying sometimes if you're too strict with yourself, and because I'm quite, I know how this moves and how that moves, and that's just like classically trained, it actually can hold you back a little bit as well. So I think it's like a bit of a balance between being able to play the piano and having like a good knowledge of like musical
gives you the elements
structure
to work with, right?
But if you're too like anal about how you move stuff around, then it's not going to help. And I am guilty of that sometimes.
No, I suppose it can't be helped though, really, can it?
Just got to like take a step back basically and be like, okay, might not sound good in the classical environment, but here it works fine. Go out the box basically.
So you chose progressively trancey sound, like. Is that where you see yourself going?
Do you know what? I wouldn't say I chose it, because I just was always into it, and I can spot a chord progression that I like, whether it's in a classical piece or even like when I was 10 in a church choir, or I'm out in a rave in a field somewhere like these days. I can always spot that chord progression that I like, or that melody that I like. So I don't think it was like. Don't get me wrong. I love the rhythm and the groove stuff. I was a drummer at school as well, so nice. I kind of do have that element and that side of things as well, but I'm just kind of addicted to the melody.
No, that's super cool. Like, so artists developing, coming up through the ranks. I'm sure you've struggled. I'm sure you've kind of, you have to pay your bills.
Yeah.
You're still managing to do this as a full-time thing. Like, how do you manage to get around not performing all the time, or like, what else are you doing apart from being Farius?
So I'm really lucky that I when I graduated from music college, I literally just DJ'd, and I DJ'd in every bar and every club like in London that I could, and it wasn't a production thing. But then when I moved back into production and writing and that kind of stuff, I kind of fell into a lot of different worlds, and I think in this day and age, unless you're like in the top tier of dance music DJs, like all of us really have got to do something else to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Unless you're touring every single week, every single weekend, which I'm not, it's a really tough market to crack, and I think there's no shame in doing other stuff at the same time, because that's just the way dance music is. That's the way music is in general. So I do a lot of different stuff. I do a lot of writing for like TV commercials, for radio.
Yeah, amazing.
I do a little bit of work for other DJs as well, mixing down, producing for other people, and all that kind of stuff. Do you know, I got a really good piece of advice from someone once who's like a bit of a legend of the industry, and he was like, if you can pay your bills and make your money from doing something connected to music,
yep,
then you're in the right place. Because otherwise, if you're completely switching off and going to a job where, it's nothing to do with music, if you're just crunching numbers and you hate it, like it's not going to be the best
creativity.
Do you know what I mean? And doing what I do, I've met so many different people in different walks of music, not just dance music, but different parts of music in the industry that sometimes connecting those dots are really helpful.
100%. So like, getting into, doing radio jingles and things like that, I mean, how do something just someone even get started with something like that? Yeah, obviously that's people who you know.
It's difficult because I'm very lucky that I live in London and it's a hub of music, and I've met many people through the studio that I work in. I got into that studio by literally assisting another producer, and then kind of just took my own thing, started doing stuff with my own clients, and just meeting other people, and suddenly someone calls you up and is like, oh, we need this bit of music for this like Instagram advert, can you do it? And then you do that, and then if it's good, then someone else is calling you up for something else, and and do you know what, I always think like every year I'm like, this is probably the last year, it's probably all going to dry up, like it will all go
never does.
under, but I've been doing it for nearly 10 years.
It's amazing. So you're saying obviously the importance of networking, getting out there, meeting new people. You never know what can happen down the line in that way. So.
But I'm sure you'll agree with me, like we've all met people who are amazing at networking but not very good at producing a product. So
true.
I think it's a mixture of both. I'm quite lucky that I'm all right with people, and I'm all right at what I do in terms of behind a computer. So
it's a kind of perfect storm.
So far it's working out, but never say never.
Well, no, it's good. No, it's just nice to understand how some people keep things going when music doesn't take over the complete life as an artist. So and you're still building that, but you're building it very nicely at the moment.
And I have to say, it's like everyone's got a dream of touring every weekend and playing their own music, which I do, but having like an outlet to do something else. I'm a musician first. I studied classical music, as I said, so having an outlet to do something else in a different sort of part of music is very refreshing. It's not all dance music every single day 24/7. No,
I think that that's one of the most important things with music in general, is you can go through different pieces of music, different genres, and enjoy it. And when I'm going through the label here and listening to some demos coming through, I've had enough of listening to progressive sometimes, and I turn on pop music, I turn on other
drum and bass, all kinds of
techno.
Stuff.
I mean, it's so nice to kind of just get out of that headspace. I think it's the same as an artist. You need to get out of whatever you're doing day in, day out to kind of keep that fresh. And also,
there are some things that I hear in different parts of music that I go, God, imagine if I took that and I did that with it in a Farius record, and I think that's where the skill of being a producer, kind of not a DJ, but a music producer comes in, because you can take elements and make them work.
No, interesting. So another topic that's kind of very much in the limelight at the moment. Mental awareness and mental health.
Yeah.
A lot of people having issues, and specifically on touring and.
Yeah.
Has any of that ever kind of come across you? Have you had any issues with that, or?
I think, do you know what, it's a really lonely life.
Yeah.
If you do it, I often sit in a room by myself underground with no windows,
no aircon,
for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it can literally start messing with your head because. Also the other thing as well is in this job you've got to be so driven and so passionate, and you've got to have such a clear idea of what you want that nothing really gets in the way, and it can compromise other bits of your life. And I think unless you take a step away, it took me a long time to take a step away from it and integrate yourself into other things in life, then you can sort of get really narrowed down. And that, I think that is where sort of mental health, which is I think it's a wider thing in society generally that we need to talk about more. But particularly in our industry, take that, couple it with, the party lifestyle of drink and the rest of it, and you're on this constant euphoria trip of making people happy, and it's adrenaline,
yep.
endorphins, and serotonin pumping around. Ultimately, there is going to be a bit.
Of course, there is a big downfall.
A big down, because we're not designed as humans to be that happy and have that euphoria all the time. So I think it's about finding the balance, and also I think it's about not having shame about talking about these things, about being able to say, actually, do you know what, I'm not really feeling it right now, I don't feel that good, and actually talking to people, because I think there's no shame, even as there's always that old thing of men are men and then we don't talk about it, and dance music is very male dominated, but actually hopefully I think things are changing and people have started to talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting. It's I touched on it with Tim before, Tim Mason, and he struggled for quite a bit and quite open about it now, and it's just interesting to see how people deal with things differently. And
yeah.
I think you're really good in terms of getting out there, and if you've had if you need a break out this year, you go and play football, you go. I see Instagram. You're doing stuff
it's about escaping, and it's about being able to. Yeah, it's
clear
your brain and escape into something else, because when your life, for me, my life is my career, my work, music is my life. I do it every single day.
Yeah. And
the chance I get on a Saturday afternoon to go out and play football with my mates, I am completely away. Sport is something that you can just dive. That's for me. That's what it is. I get into sport and that's my release.
So was it football? Your focus? What else? You play?
Football. I used to swim a little bit.
Nice.
Gym, I don't really like the gym, but I go to keep fit, and just get out, and that's just for me. It's fitness keeps me really happy, and what they say healthy mind, healthy body, healthy body, healthy mind.
It gives you energy, your brain and your body. It doesn't it does a few things.
It does, and it's escapism. It's like an escape into a different world, and it's so important. And I think when you're an artist and you're trying to make it, I think you can get so bogged down in I've got to be here, I've got to make this record work, I've got to be here, and until I get this record signed, then actually that's really not productive.
No, of course it's not. No, interesting, man. So Pride events and stuff, you're heavily involved on that side of your life.
Yeah. I've been doing Pride stuff for a long time. It's been it's a lot of fun, I think, as we were talking about mental health, I think there's a lot of things now where life is we're trying to get more diversity in life generally, as a society, and it's been it's really fun.
Do you think the kind of awareness and the events are getting bigger and bigger? Because I notice it myself on social media, and things are ramping up, in so many different countries. I mean, Apple Music doing these specific mixes.
Pride mixes, it was great. So me and Jimbo J-Tech played at World Pride in New York, which was really, really good fun. We played at a party that coincided that weekend with it, and it was I think dance music was born in gay clubs in Chicago. House music was, and that's where we all stem from. So I think it's not almost a disservice, but it's important to remember where it all started and where it came from. I mean, I've always been pretty open about who I am, but I've never sort of let it dominate my music life.
Interesting,
Music's always been more important than me, and I've always really enjoyed putting the music out as opposed to putting myself out, you know, and people enjoy my music not as opposed to enjoy who I am, I think. Well, I've tried to anyway, and yeah, you know, playing in New York with J-Tech was like a really good example of how we can all enjoy dance music and all be different people under the same roof.
United as one.
Yeah, and just you know, we're all here for the same reason, to party, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, or what you're into. You know, we're all there for the same reason.
Yeah, no, amazing. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on it because I think, you know, you're doing some amazing things with that, and I, you know, again, go back to your Instagram. Not that I'm stalking you much, but I see it. Just everything looks super fun when you're doing those kind of things.
Yeah,
and,
you know, there's like as I said earlier, like dance music is very male, very white, and very straight, and I think it's important to like keep it all in perspective. That, you know, there's a very big world. There's a lot of people listening to dance music, and I think it can be difficult to try and get into that world if you don't feel comfortable in that world.
Yeah.
You know.
And on that, I mean, I do think dance music is changing in terms of gender, and you know, there are more female talent coming through. I'd love to see more in progressive.
Yeah, me too.
You know, maybe it's, you know, it's something that we can focus on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to see there's, you know, a small turning of the ship happening.
Because it's got to, like, dance music's got to reflect, you know, we all go to party, like, it's got to reflect society, you know, we've got to integrate and make sure that we're all happy together, because that's when, I think that's when we enjoy partying the most, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're surrounded with
like-minded people
who are all, you know, and I have to say, like, the music that we do, the progressive and the trancey stuff, like, 9 times out of 10, all the parties I play, everyone's very happy. Like,
of course.
No one getting into fights, like, in the corners.
There's nothing to it. There's nothing to be upset about. It really is there. You know, when you know. If
you're having a good time with your mates, then, you know, it doesn't matter who anybody is around you. You should just be able to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what's good about the, you know, melodic music in general is, you know, it brings us such a happy vibe.
Yeah.
You know, some genres, it's about the, you know, very, very dark, very underground.
Yeah.
It's got its place for sure. I mean, I love techno, and you know that's part of my life as well. But I think melodic just definitely brings a certain magic to any kind of party.
Yeah.
So it's
I agree.
It's a bit magical, but I'm going to move on anyway. So just come back from Untold in Romania.
Yeah.
Well done.
That was it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that. So it's
great. I mean, it's an amazing festival. You know, Romania is an incredible country that's like, you know, really embracing dance music, and it's a huge festival in sort of a park with like around a football stadium where the main acts are, but then there are stages like in forests and like in the park, and there's food, there's a family vibe because it runs like all day and then all night, so the family's there like all day. And there's like a kids area, and then like after, like I think it was like Robbie Williams was on, then Martin Garrix, David Guetta, when they finished, then like, you know, you had like Martinez brothers like in Seth Troxler, and some there's just a complete variation. And I think the nice thing is like Tomorrowland, which is huge, and people are going from stage to stage, but it might take you like 20 minutes to walk from there to there. Like if you want to change the music,
it's a bit more doable.
You can be somewhere else at a drum and bass, you know, stage, or a prog stage in, you know, 5 minutes. It was good. It was mad, but it was great.
I mean, you know, when you're starting to playing these really big events, you know, New York, Untold, like all these festivals that are coming up, that must be a real sign that your music's starting to really pay off. You know, like your hard work's really kicking in.
Well, I think that's the aim for any up and coming artist. You know, I always dreamt of touring and playing my music to people who want to hear it, and I have to remind myself. There's a quote somewhere that's like, you know, always just be grateful and remember what you wanted and be grateful that you've got it. You know, and I think I'm such an ambitious person. I'm so driven to like wanting to get on the next rung of the ladder, the next bit, and further up, that it's easy to forget. Like that was what I wanted when I started making music as Farius. I wanted to be playing my music in the States, or I wanted to be playing at a festival in Romania, and I'm doing it now. So, it's all those sort of like going to the studio at 8 p.m. on a Friday night when all your mates are going out, and like sitting there on my own until like 3 a.m. like working on a new track. Like that's when it pays off. When you're actually looking at you know,
100%.
a big crowd of people who know how the melody goes in your record or the lyrics in your record. It's incredible. There's no real feeling to describe it. Like, there's no way to describe it. That feeling.
I mean, playing your own track to a crowd like that, that must be the winner. Like, I mean, playing the actual event, okay, cool. But playing your records out there as well is just the icing on the cake, I have to tell you.
It genuinely is a as I say, like a feeling that I can't really describe. It's everything I always wanted to do. So I'm very lucky that people still want me to do it.
It's just honestly, it's just the start. You know, there's going to be plenty more there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with the output that you've got coming up, it's I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah.
So face of Real Prog and the label and the radio show. Massive thanks for doing that with us on a weekly basis. So we choose the music together on a weekly basis. I think it works really well. A bit of a blend of styles there, and I think it's a very real cross genre of music, really. You know, from house to techno to progressive. I think that's what makes the show quite special in terms of what else, other things that are out there.
Yeah.
We're supporting other labels and working with other labels and trying to kind of cross promote essentially. I think it's important that labels help each other, and because it is a small industry. Everyone does know each other, and it's we're all after the same thing at the end of the day. So what do you think? What do you think in terms of promotion and labels helping each other and the importance of that? And
I think
even artists helping each other out at the same time.
I think, like as you say, it's like it's a small industry. It's a small industry in the first place. The corner that we're in is tiny, really. Do you know what I mean? Comparatively to everything else that's going on. Like,
true.
My mates who I love them dearly, but if they're not in music, they kind of go, "What do you do? Like, we haven't heard of you.
Of
like,
course.
What's this Farius thing? Like, what do you do?"
That must be the majority of people, though, right? Because I find when I go out and meet people, and a lot of people just are not in that section. So
So I think with that in mind, I think it's really important that we work together. I think artists particularly working together. I think I always hope whatever I do, wherever I go, that I'll always remain sort of humble and remember. When I get messages from people being like, "Love this, we love that," I love getting them.
Of course you do,
I think it's very important that artists sort of like remember where they came from and keep working alongside each other. And there are a lot of us out there, and there are a lot of us trying to break through, and I'm sure people have anxiety right at the top about falling off that platform and stuff. But ultimately, if we work together, as you say, the industry's small. We should be all right.
Yeah, no, fair. Well, obviously, lots of good stuff coming from radio. We've got a very special 50th edition coming up.
We do.
Which there'll be lots more about that soon.
And do you know what? I mean, it's amazing that I love people sending me music and stuff. There's stuff on there that gets in the show that isn't really out there other places. And I think what makes Real Prog Radio special is that we have found a sound that works. We've got our own sound in there. So if you reckon you've got a record that would work on it, then please send it to me. And
100%.
I still have to pinch myself when people go, "Oh my God, Farius played my record on Real Prog Radio." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me." Yeah. So people are enjoying it, which is great.
No, and that's the main thing, right? So
Yeah.
So the reason we got you down here as well to celebrate Make It Stars coming, which is out now, and what a great record! What a great record!
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's really nice to see that your sound. I think it's a slightly different sounding record for you, but still got the main elements of a Farius record at the same time. It's kind of a bit of a hybrid record for me.
It's been really interesting to explore. I mean, it's weird calling it a different sound because it still very much feels like a record that I have produced, and it sits alongside my other stuff.
Yeah, nicely, yeah.
But you know what? There are only so many times you can sit down in the studio and write the same record. Sometimes you just want to experiment, shake things up. Maybe don't use a piano in this record and use something else. Maybe don't use like when I was doing 11th Hour, like the cowbell, that was the main thing. Like that was the element straight through it. Like it's all about trying different things. That record actually started. I think there's like 6 different like original versions of that record, all sounding very different. But I sat in an LA studio with Sammy from Andretta, played him all the ones. He was like, "How did it go from that to that?" But that's often the best way these records come about. It's I'm really enjoying it, and I've got some really good feedback off it as well. It's also nice to show that you're not like just a one-trick pony.
Of course, I think that's the most important thing.
You can show diversity in the way you can produce and the sound you can produce. And yeah, of course, some people are like, oh, you know, it doesn't sound anything like your last record, but like I think that's the fun of it. And I think if and when one day an album comes about, it'll be nice to showcase a lot of different sounds.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, there's a lot of intricate synth work in there, and you know, a lot of really cool effects and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's something a little bit different.
Yeah, well, and I'm hoping to get a video up to sort of show people inside the project a little bit, and just solo a few parts and sort of show, you know, how I got to from A to B.
Yeah, I think they're always useful. They're not interesting for everyone, of course.
Yeah.
So apologies if you're not into that. But yeah, I think it's good to understand sometimes some of the tricks that are used on these records, because a lot of the Zerothree fans are producers.
Yeah.
You know, I get so many messages from people who are loving the label that also making music. So I think it just helps them progress with their sounds as well, even if you can share a few tips and stuff.
Yeah,
you don't want to reveal everything.
No. I'm an open book.
It's nice to do that.
Yeah.
And we have a Frederick and Kuss remix on the record as well, which
banging.
are a couple of great friends of Adam's. Amazing. It's good to have a totally different sound on the label as well. I think, as we were talking about this earlier, remixes are so important. I think you create a different sound with them rather than bringing just another variation of the same record.
I think, and also it's really interesting to have a different genre remix to what I've produced as well. You know, to have largely like a tech house sound. It's interesting to see what they did and what they took and how they made it into something completely different. Like it's really interesting, because when you produce a record and someone works with your sounds, it's like wow, you know, it's a nice feeling, it's a nice experience.
Yeah, no, completely. Yeah. Well, as I say, Make This Last is out now on Zerothree. Farius has got a really cool DJ mix coming exclusively on Apple Music as well to support the release. I think that's probably about all.
Thanks for having me.
It's good just to kind of have a little natter, let people know a little bit more about you, and more information coming on Real Prog Radio 50 very soon.